Hello everybody, welcome back to the P34J channel, and today I'd like to discuss a more introspective topic. You see, my primary content is long-form video game reviews for old and new games. I try to go into as much detail as possible within a semi-reasonable duration. My Shadow of the Erdtree review was an hour and a half. Pretty good audience retention though. I get a thrill out of picking a game apart and analyzing why I like or dislike a game. But there's a specific factor I'd like to touch on today that affects my opinions and output. I don't have much experience with video games. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a noob, a fraud, a fake gamer. I've touched on this subject in a video about how I judge video games and have been scrutinized at length by friends and family in the PlayStation chat. So I thought it would be an interesting idea to crucify myself on video. That's right, I got the cross on the way, ordered it online, it should be here any minute now. You're about to witness a live death. I ain't age restricting the video either, YouTube. Y'all gonna have to kick rocks. Hey, matter of fact, y'all can go ahead and get the kids in the living room right now. They need to see this shit. I want to talk about my limited experience with games, how I perceive its effect on my gaming opinions, and what I am doing to broaden my horizons, increase my knowledge, and right this wrong. I'm P34J, and this is my review of P34J. How many points do I get for that joke? Boo! You stink! Let's start with a synopsis of the situation. There are hella video games I haven't played. I am an uncultured swine. Y'all ready for this? Because it's about to be a long list. I've never played God of War, Assassin's Creed, Infamous, Sly Cooper, Ratchet & Clank, Tomb Raider, Lies of P, Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Prototype, Red Dead Redemption, Bully, LA Noire, DayZ, Half-Life, Team Fortress, Portal, League of Legends, RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077, or Death Stranding. I've only played the very beginning of the first Splinter Cell, Devil May Cry 5, Metal Gear Solid 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, Morrowind, Skyrim, Sekiro, Dead Cells, Bioshock 1, and Gears of War Ultimate Edition. I've only played a small amount of Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Tekken, and Dead or Alive. I got like under 20 hours on Smite and Smite 2 combined. I only ever played the demo for Resident Evil 5. I have minimal experience with Call of Duty multiplayer, and the only campaign I've beaten is, goddammit, why do I have to remind myself, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023. I fully regret this. Review is in the description. Don't watch it. More importantly, don't play it. Save yourself. And I'm hearing Black Ops 7 somehow worse. How do you get worse than Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Okay, let me not try to think too much about it. I'm about to get another headache. I've only ever made it a few missions into the Demon Souls remake, Oblivion Remastered, Black Myth Wukong, and Red Dead Redemption 2. I played a tiny amount of Minecraft. Am I painting the picture? I am a gaming heretic. A phony. Yet, somehow, I have an extensive amount of time in my life on video games. Gaming has played a very important role in my life. It's been my passion, a source of inspiration and motivation in my darkest times, and a distraction from all the nonsense going on around me in my environment growing up. I never hopped off the porch. I am a thoroughbred house nigga. Wait a minute.
Well, good. Go on and show them.
Yes, sir, but I don't.
Go on and teach them. Go on there and show them.
Come on, Mr. Leroy.
Don't come back till they're good.
All right, sir. Now, yes, sir. Guess I could get over here real quick. Let me get a little.
Yeah, what's up, nigga? Yeah, remember them whips I got from you last week? Remember them whips you got me last week?
Oh Lord, Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord.
Bitch ass, nigga!
So if I was in the house all day, what the fuck was I doing? How did I sell? I can narrow it down to 3 reasons. 1, growing up, I was one of the most disdained forces in all of America. A broke nigga. I was not the richest person in the world. It's okay, I'm not ashamed of that. In fact, it's instilled within me a sense of humility and motivation. It'll feel that much sweeter once I'm on the up and up. But it did have an effect on what was available for me. I was fortunately able to play every AAA console from the 6th generation up, plus some older ones at least once. I owned an OG Xbox with a large variety of games. Most of the discs were scratched up though. But even that paled in comparison to the quality collection that others more fortunate than I had. I also didn't have much access to the internet, so online gaming didn't become prominent in my life until late 2015 with Halo 5. Factor number 2, I'm an antisocial son of a bitch. A recluse. I've never even slept over a friend's house. Only family. I can't get into the reasons why I was so sheltered growing up without getting too unnecessarily personal or without possibly shedding tears. But just know I wasn't able to break out of my shell well into my adulthood. So borrowing games or playing on friends' consoles wasn't really a thing for me. Hell, I had a hard time chewing through the games I had. Which leads me to reason number 3. In 2009, at 10 years of age, I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and Asperger's syndrome. Now, I've never taken the time to research my mental illnesses in depth, but I understand enough to know they played a part in my lack of efficiency in multitasking and my intense fixation on things I like, whether it be logos, food, TV shows, or in this case, games. Up until 2024, I was stuck in the cycle of playing the exact same games for hours on end. I trapped myself in a never-ending triangle of 3 franchises: Dragon Ball, WWE, and Halo. I never even focused on mechanical skills in those games. I was just there to do ultimate blasts and transformations, earn titles, slam CPU through tables, and create shitty maps that no one would ever play. And when I attempted to branch out in my adulthood, I got caught in another trap. Brawlhalla. I have over 2,000 hours in this game. I wanted Diamond that bad. When I got out of that, guess what happened? Apex Legends, 1,700 hours. God damn! I wasn't exploring the art form I claimed to love, but I did have fun. It was the most fun I had in life, especially playing with family. I cherish the memories of long nights, playing into the wee hours, speaking feverishly of new ideas from a higher plane. I'm sorry, y'all. That fuck nigga affected my brain. Golly, one of the worst boss fights ever. Bloodborne review in the description, y'all. I'm essentially on an impossible mission to make up for lost time. So why even fight this mission? Why choose now to diversify my catalog? Well, it's like I said, I still love gaming. It has become my #1 passion. There's no form of media like it. It's an interactive experience that offers both thoughtful provocation and recreational fun. There are few things in this life that can match it for me, like watching anime or wrestling. I'm lacking an experience for those 2 categories as well. Same reasons, but another story for another time. I had extreme fun doing what I was doing back then, and as I began to play more games and explore what each had to offer, the fun only grew. As I got more skilled at games, completing campaigns and getting better at multiplayer created a thrill like none other. Another question arises: if I'm so inexperienced, why would I choose video game reviews and commentary as my primary form of content? Well, in 2016, I started watching video game commentaries that went into depth on either specific games, franchises, or broad gaming subjects. This type of content captivated me. Guys like Faven, Ackman, Reykjavik, Angry Joe, and later on Arash were able to, in my eyes, make meaningful content out of gaming and give thoughtful opinions. So in 2022, I challenged myself to do the same on a niche subject no other Halo fan would have thought to cover, but one I cared about deeply. Unfreaking believable. Medals in Halo. It was a lot of fun. While it required a lot of research and experience, it wasn't too opinionated or nuanced. The real challenge would be my first ever video game review, Apex Legends. It took courage to finally take that jump and deeply analyze a game I enjoyed. Lack of experience be damned. I'll let the public decide whether or not I did a good job, but what's certain is that the process of making that video was thought-provoking. It was the most enjoyment I ever got from writing an essay. That's not a knock on school either. In fact, it's a credit. High school and college essays in literature helped me appreciate gaming and content creation even more. But this was on another level. I was learning why I loved Apex Legends and why I sucked at it while I was writing about it. What a great game to start with. The mechanics in Apex are deeper and more nuanced than most first-person shooters I've played. Let me stop right there before I review the whole bitch again. Link in the description. The Apex review is when I realized that this is what I love to do. I would no longer cower at my lack of experience in gaming. I would embrace it, and I would attack it. I just wouldn't get as much enjoyment out of doing Let's Plays or reactions. When I get more time, I'll do more of those on my dormant P34J Play channel. For me, that's just low effort content. Not throwing shade at anyone else, as there are short form content creators that are better creators than me. I'm just saying, I like making long form, high production value videos. The editing process for longer videos is a lot more tedious, but you can come up with more creative jokes and segments. Another high skill weapon is an SMG that will put your ass out of bidding faster than a PS1 did Sega. R99. Probably my only nitpick will be that fur coats look a bit overly blurry and pixelated, and this is actually a huge problem for me. In a game where everything else looks polished to a high degree, this just stands out like a sore thumb. It's immersion breaking for sure, and I feel like the developers just got a bit late. I love when I can execute a neat idea for an intro.
They are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
For he alone was the Hillwalker, the unchained predator who sought retribution in all quarters. In his ravenous hatred, he found no peace. He wore the crown of the Night Sentinels, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doomslayer.
I just enjoy making long-form content and commentary, especially reviews. Going in deep on gameplay mechanics, story elements, art style, content, and observing how all these things come together to make a cohesive experience is an absolute joy. This is how it feels when various mechanics get introduced and you use them in your gameplay. When you use your sword, initiate standoffs, and win duels, you're encouraged to think about the samurai code of honor.
Lord Shimura's teachings, and loyalty to authority. When you use smoke bombs, wind chimes, and poison, you're diverting from that honor code, embracing the cruelty of the Mongols, and doing whatever you see fit to save Tsushima, accepting the shame and consequences that come with your actions. Or at least that's how I felt. Hell, when I use Kazumasa Sakai's horse armor, I'm not just thinking of his death, the Sakai legacy, and everything Jin's father fought for regarding Tsushima. I'm thinking about how distant he was as a father, and the lives he destroyed, and the name of the shogunate as the butcher of. I can only hope I have a lasting impact on YouTube. That I've entertained the few people I have at this point humbles me. As I was writing this script, I was riding a high from the kind feedback I received from my Remnant 2 review. This type of thing fuels me. Hell, even the negative feedback is motivating. I'm the guy who nitpicked the low-res renders on Doom the Dark Ages gimmick sections, knowing it probably had something to do with performance optimization. And rightfully, one guy gave me flack for that. Not gonna make the same mistake twice. It's entertaining to discuss and learn from things I either didn't execute well or that I disagree with others on. I can also use the opportunity to improve my flaws. To know that I fostered meaningful discussion on the games I love is precious to me. So, if my lack of experience contradicts the content I make, then my bland gaming history is something I'm just gonna have to butt heads with. Just know, I'm coming like Tanjiro Kamado. Being inside the vortex is obviously going to be harder for me to pinpoint and articulate the effects my lack of gaming experience will have on my own opinions and content. But for the pleasure of the viewing audience, I shall attempt to do so. The first effect that comes to mind would be on my judgment of quality. I've played more games than the casual gamer, but less than the qualified connoisseur I strive to be. As a result, I'm sure I have some pretty spicy takes. I may think some things are amazing that are mid to others, experienced gamers in particular. For example, Annihilation's boss fight from Remnant 2 was amazing to me. Best boss fight in the game, and it's clearing like half of Elden Ring's bosses. Most people who've played both games might not agree with that. I think the Corruptor was heat in one of the best boss fights in Remnant 2. I hold Doom Eternal in a very high regard. A lot of people might not agree with that, even though it's critically acclaimed. I might even hold Pac-Man World 2 and its repack at what some might say is too high of a rating. I think my lack of experience mainly skews my positive opinions into a more positive direction. I try not to let my noob status or gaming biases skew my negative opinions. I believe in giving games a fair chance. I'm not going to say X-Defiant, Call of Duty Arena Multiplayer, or Warzone is ass just because simpler first-person shooters with not-so-deep mechanics and static environmental sandboxes aren't my thing. I'm also not going to bash the original Doom or Halo Combat Evolved for being old. Both these games are greats that revolutionized the first-person shooter genre and the whole gaming industry. When I do completely shit on a game or an aspect I don't like, I try to come at it as objectively as possible. I don't think I'm exaggerating or that I have a skewed negative opinion when I say that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign and Warzone Zombies made me want to gouge my own eyeballs out and ask my mother for forgiveness. The game is just that shitty. But thinking about it, maybe my lack of experience skews my negative opinions in a more positive light. Maybe I'm still figuring out what to consider bad. Back in 2016, when I first beat Halo 5, I enjoyed it. Please forgive me. This is Heresy. I owe an apology to the Halo community. I'm sorry. But the only part of the story I deeply analyzed was when Chief got his visor cracked. Hands down the best part of the entire story. I only analyzed that because I was taking an AP literature class at the time. I didn't really pay too much attention to stories back then. It wasn't until I started actually paying attention to stories, watching YouTube commentaries, playing more games, and understanding the stories behind previous Halo games that I considered Halo 5's story trash. I may be bound to have more moments like these. Hell, maybe I'm having one right now. I just beat Ghost of Yotei. I think the story was amazing. I'm still weighing whether or not it was better than Tsushima. I know the story's getting a lot of flack. People are calling it flat. Maybe I'm tripping, but from what I got from Ghost of Yotei, it was a pretty deep story. I got another one for y'all. I don't think the Primogenitor, Fire Giant, Commander Gaius, Everetta's Daughter of the Cosmos, or the Witch of Hemwick were unbearable boss fights. They weren't very good, but none of them are complete trash to me. Again, most people might hate those boss fights to a higher extent because they've played much better. Me, I tend to be a bit more lenient and appreciative of the full package. Until I truly hate something and it irks my nerves that much. I can kind of see here how my lack of experience can make me like things more and hate things less. I also think it goes deeper than that. I don't just think my lack of experience affects how much I like or hate things. I think it affects what I like in games. This is where the takes get even spicier. When I say that Dragon Lord Placidusax, I mean Placidusax, is a bottom 3 boss fight in the entirety of Elden Ring, including the DLC, that's not a troll. I'm being genuine.
I tell you, he is a bitch. And you're gonna be a pussy and teleport 4 times in a row. 5. You just teleported 5 times in a row. And then did that.
Placidusax is a prime exhibit for one of my most hated tropes in any encounter in a game. Bitch. Cowardice is never fun to fight against and can ruin my night at the drop of a dime. Placidusax, without a shadow of a doubt, is one of the most cowardly bosses in the game. He runs and teleports so much that at one point I couldn't hit him for damn near 2 minutes straight.
Like I'm not gang affiliated in any way, but damn near on Crip here. Oh shit. And then you do that! I can't even hit this nigga! I swear I have not had a chance to hit this nigga in like two minutes.
I don't understand why a big ass dragon with lasers, lightning, and a goddamn nuke needs after image strike on top of that.
Coward.
Bell is a way better boss fight than his rival. He comes in with the aggressiveness Placidusax should have displayed.
Oh my god, bruh. Just keep running, bruh, because if I get hit by a laser and he this low on health, bruh, I'm a fucking snap!
This take is Heresy because I believe most people are fans of the Placidusax fight, mostly because of its sheer grandeur and spectacle. But for me, he's a joke and an embarrassment to the rest of what Elden Ring has to offer.
Take your pussy ass on somewhere. Take your dead ass, pussy ass, coward ass, cheese ass, bitch ass, assy ass, dead ass on somewhere. Dead bitch. You are the mind of a pussy. You represent everything that a bitch is. Dragon Lord? Is that how you become one? I guess all dragons is pussies at that point. All dragons is cowards. In this world, you gotta think like a bitch in order to be. You have to think like a bitch. Because that's what he gonna do. One of the worst boss fights in the game. I can't even hold you.
See? And none of that was rage bait. It was just a genuine opinion and a hot take. I'd like to make a clarification real quick. I don't think all bosses that run away from you or send lackeys at you are necessarily cowards. Two prime examples of that would be the Icon of Sin, who spawns a bunch of demons against you, and then there's Khotan Khan, who runs away from you and then sends a bunch of Mongols at you. Those two are excellent fights that require you to use all the mechanics in the game at once, and I love fights like that. There's a clear difference between those type of fights and pussy-ass Jory the Elder Inquisitor, who sits back, shoots, and sends lackeys at you. That's bullshit. While teleporting. Like, at least Icon of Sin and Khotan Khan was boxing. It's hard to tell whether that opinion is down to my lack of experience or just my personal taste, but there's a chance I'd appreciate Placidusax's fight more if I played more games, like the rest of the Souls games, Shadow of Mordor, or Devil May Cry, just to throw some random ideas out there. Not necessarily any connection, except the Souls games, of course. I like bosses with interesting deep mechanics and high but fair difficulty, but I tend to lean toward the masochist side of difficulty, likely due to my nightmare run on Doom Eternal. This is why I hail none other than Promised Consort Radahn to be my favorite boss fight in all of Elden Ring. And out of all the Souls games I've played so far, which would include base Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and the Old Hunters DLC, he is ungodly hard, but in my opinion mostly balanced. It was a challenge to find the right spots to be in to dodge his attacks, but I watched some videos and people were doing it. I even found a way around the ground lightning before they patched it. He definitely has some unforgiving windows, but I was willing to rise to the challenge. You fight most bosses. You don't fight Radahn. You go to war with him. I never thought I would enjoy a boss fight that took me 24 hours within 3 days and a stick drifting controller to beat. This is definitely not an opinion most people would agree with. Even people who thoroughly enjoyed Shadow of the Erdtree consider Radahn to be a step too far into the unfair territory. I wish he never got patched. Now it won't be as satisfying when I kick his ass again.
It's over. I got him! I got him! I got him! I got him! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I got him! Oh my god! That is fucking intense. That is intense, bruh.
Hell, my admiration for Annihilation might be controversial. I imagine most players might suffer from nausea and epilepsy from all the visual effects and world switching. I dig the chaotic, world-breaking feel of Annihilation's aesthetic. It's an incredible spectacle, like Placidusax, but there's actual substance in the combat, unlike Placidusax. I say these takes might be down to my lack of experience, because maybe there are hella better boss fights than Annihilation, or worse dragon fights than Placidusax. I just haven't encountered them yet. Of course, not playing certain experiences at the time they came out, when certain mechanics weren't as polished throughout a genre, could definitely have an effect on my takes. This is why I try to take time of release into consideration when I judge older games. But I won't know if there have been better or worse experiences until I gain more experience. And so, I completely understand if my opinions seem completely out of whack to the true gamer. Another effect of my lack of gaming experiences would be the weird comparisons I make between games. I'm always comparing two totally different games, like the boss fights in Doom to Soulsborne games. I also tend to associate certain mechanics with a game even if that game isn't the first to incorporate those mechanics. Parrying will always remind me of Souls. Any game that puts importance on resource management during combat or matching the right weapon against enemies is gonna draw a comparison from me to Doom Eternal. Maybe For Honor for the weapon matching. How many times have I referenced Doom Eternal in this video alone, let alone my channel in general? My narrow experience tends to show particularly strong with this title. It's one of the best games I've ever played, but I've been told multiple times by those around me that it doesn't belong in the upper echelon of gaming. I keep trying to argue for it, but until my experience pool gets bigger, I have no merit in my eyes. It's crazy though, because multiple people with far more gaming experience than I have, like Ackman, Angry Joe, Faven, and Under the Mayo, hail Eternal at a high regard. It's the same with Bloodborne. My experience was a 9 out of 10, damn near 8 off Mikolash alone. But I could easily see why people would hail it as a 10, an all-time great, and even better than Elden Ring, minus Mikolash. It can be a bit muddy for me to distinguish good from great when comparing the quality of games in different genres. Matter of fact, should I even do that? The Game Awards does it all the time, but that doesn't always pan out well. I still feel a bit weird that Astrobot was able to beat Shadow of the Erdtree, Wukong, and some other bangers, but who the hell am I? I never played Astrobot. Hell, the only two games that got nominated that year that I played were Black Myth Wukong and Shadow of the Erdtree. And I only beat Shadow of the Erdtree. So yeah, I still feel shocked that Helldivers 2 didn't get nominated. But shit, I guess Balatron's heat. I ain't got no expertise on the situation. That's also why I'm curious to play Last of Us 2, because now I'm at the point to where I played Doom Eternal and Ghost of Tsushima. Why didn't one of those win Game of the Year 2020? And I know how divisive Last of Us Part 2 was. It was more divisive than Doom Eternal. I've also only recently just started my first ever turn-based RPG. But given its reputation, I'm sure Claire Obscure Expedition 33 will be Game of the Year. I'm gonna raise an eyebrow if it loses to Hollow Knight Silksong or Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think the only game that realistically has a chance to beat it is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But again, look at me talking about all games I've never played before, except Claire recently.
Oh, I just beat a second stage without being able to take a turn. Oh my god, I'm a metagamer. I swear to God, I'm a metagamer.
Which brings another question. In what situation is it proper for a platformer or PvP multiplayer focused game to win Game of the Year when facing high quality single player or PvE multiplayer campaign competition? Maybe I'm biased, but I feel like that's an uphill battle. I don't see a theoretical Super Mario Galaxy sequel beating, say, GTA 6 if that game ever releases. Or a Balatro-like card game beating Elder Scrolls 6 if that game ever comes out. Or Overwatch 3 beating the Elden Ring 2. With certain shooters, it's more feasible. Halo 3 probably clears if it released in any year. Helldivers 2 should have gotten nominated if not for that mess with Sony forcing PC players to have PS accounts and maybe some balancing issues. But imagine if Balatro was the game to beat Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Black Myth Wukong. I'd imagine there'd be some online discourse about that. It's just hard to top the quality of an epic campaign game. Elden Ring, Claire Obscure, and Baldur's Gate 3 are in a league of their own. I just don't see how an Astrobot, Cuphead, or Pac-Man World 2 repack could compare. That's why I think it's more fair to compare games within the same genre. I'm not sure a 10 out of 10 platformer can compare to something like a 10 out of 10 RPG unless it's at least 30 hours long and comes with a kick-ass story on par with Red Dead 2 or Ghost of Tsushima. These are the thoughts swirling around my head regarding video game comparisons. I believe there is one positive for my inexperience. I get to do what I'm sure most gamers wish they could do again. Experience great games for the first time in a recorded place in history.
I'm not letting Mael die out here. I'm taking her home.
What? No, no, no! We have a mission!
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune! What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the Paintress, just the three of us?
This is how I felt about Elden Ring, which is why I'm glad I got to play Shadow of the Erd Tree right after I beat the base game.
I told you! Let me solo her. Let me solo her.
It was like experiencing Elden Ring for the first time right after I experienced Elden Ring for the first time.
A curse upon thee.
I beat Ghost of Tsushima and its Iki Island DLC at the end of August, and I just got finished beating Ghost of Yotei at the end of November. The personal pleasure I can get from jumping into a plethora of great new games is an adventure that entices and compels me. As a viewing experience, I hope that those who watch me can feel a modicum of what they once felt when they first played these games before me. It's an honor for me to provide raw thoughts on old experiences because my opinions may reaffirm a game's outlook years later, or maybe I find and share something new. Most times, I try to go into a game as blind as possible so I can give as honest an opinion as I can with no outside biases. Sometimes I'll do dumb shit like spoil the promised consort Radahn reveal and the end of God of War Ragnarok and its DLC for myself. Like, good God, what the fuck was I thinking? But most of the time, I'm going in naive. I want to try to make sure these old games hit as close to as hard as the new ones as possible. Some of these new games will be my first foray into new genres. Claire is my first turn-based RPG. It'll be interesting to see how this affects my judgment of genres. I want to see how Claire will affect my perspective on a turn-based Final Fantasy or Persona, especially seeing as to how those two JRPGs directly influenced the developers of Claire.
Holy nigga, this shit live. It's a whole cutscene. Why am I not live streaming this? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That nigga's gone, and I'm going to sleep happy tonight. Bitch! Yes, sir. Yeah, nigga.
I will do my best to understand and appreciate what came before. I just hope my journey provides an entertaining ride for you, the viewer, and that my inexperience can offer something unique. So, what am I doing to solve this problem? I think the answer is simple. I'm playing more games. Since the end of 2023, I have been playing more games than ever before. I haven't ventured too far out of my comfort zone, but I furthered my progress in fighters, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, and action-adventure, particularly Souls and Souls-likes. I also took a trip down memory lane through the Pac-Man World Repack series. After playing undeniable heat like Elden Ring, Ghost of Tsushima, and Helldivers 2, I've gained valuable knowledge about how these games work and about my preferences. The time I spent on these games, I'd never trade for anything in the world. Where do I go from here? Well, I definitely want to finish what I started in certain areas, like Souls, the Remnant series, and maybe someday I'll play the original Dooms or Helldivers 1. But I think it's high time I broke out of my shell. I've never beaten a pure RPG, but I currently have over 20 hours in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. I'm a hype beast, so I got it even though I wasn't certain I would finish it anytime soon. Speaking of being a hype beast, I have started and will finish the guaranteed Game of the Year, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I'm going to be bold and just jump in, even if it isn't friendly to new turn-based RPG players. I want to get into more platformers, namely Cuphead and Astrobot. Dead Cells has been waiting for me for a long time. There is a long list of PS exclusives I've yet to start. Horizon Forbidden West came with my PS5, and I've yet to make it past the first mission. Haven't even finished Zero Dawn. I'm eager to run through the God of War series and pick apart its story. There's the Last of Us series, and I'm as excited to dissect the greatness of the first story as I am to analyze the second and see if it really deserved to beat Doom Eternal and Ghost of Tsushima. Speaking of story, Ackman hyped me up for the Red Dead series. I had GTA 5 in my short-term crosshairs before they delayed 6 again. Now, I got time to push that back. That's another thing. I typically try to catch up on a series before a new game comes out, like how I beat Elden Ring right before Assault dropped, or how I caught up with Modern Doom before Dark Ages, or Ghost of Tsushima a month before Yote released. I know we're due for a God of War game next year, so I gotta get a move on and run through 2018 and Ragnarok. I haven't delved into the horror genre yet, and I'm sure there's wonders to explore there. I have Resident Evil 7 and Village whenever I'm ready. I'm procrastinating as long as possible toward interactive novels like the Walking Dead Telltale series, Until Dawn, Life is Strange, Dispatch, and Tales from the Borderlands, as I like to actually play my video games. Nothing against them, but I'm really in the mood for good gameplay experiences with story. That brings me to another section of games I am intentionally pushing back with no remorse. Mainstream slop like NBA 2K, Madden, or Call of Duty, and hot garbage like Forspoken, Lord of the Rings Gollum, and apparently Black Ops 7. I know I'm eventually going to have to run into this type of trash. It's the nature of reviewing games, but Modern Warfare 3 2023 still makes me want to vomit to this day, and that's all I can handle right now. This ain't a roadmap for my channel or anything. I'm sure there will be detours like the finals in Helldivers 2. I'm sure Arc Raiders will be such a game for me. I just want to give an idea for where my head's at. I'm ready to further explore the genres I've played while diversifying my catalog with some new genres. Hell, if you have any suggestions that aren't 2K, Madden, FIFA, Modern, Call of Duty, or worse, feel free to leave a comment below. I wrote this script as an attempt at self-awareness. I'm not trying to down myself or garner any pity. I just thought I should have some fun being honest with myself and my viewers. I don't want to come off as pretentious, self-righteous, or acting like I'm the end-all be-all of gaming opinions, like I'm all-knowing. I made this video to ground myself, to take a step back and realize the unique situation I'm in. I want to analyze the current climate, have fun, and find what I like. I am in the all-learning stage, and I suspect it will stay that way for the rest of my time gaming. That's why I review games. I don't take myself too seriously, but I want everyone to know I'm passionate about gaming, and I always will be. Whether I'm cooking or giving out bad takes, just know that I'm being honest and still learning. My lack of experience in gaming is all the more reason to dive deeper into the art form I love. I've been stuck around 100 subscribers for 3 years now. You know what keeps me going? It's pointless to quit. I love what I do. I have faith that as my experience grows, so will my audience. I'm not going to stress about who's going to ride with me. I'm just going to appreciate those who give me a chance and enjoy the ride.